Mahalo for joining us tonight here at the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu for our Christmas Eve extravaganza. I want to welcome you for coming today to share the joy of the holiday season with us. You're special, and in this of all services, it's important to be around people who are loving and open and want to welcome you. So you're in the right place. Congratulations. Yeah, we're going to have more of that. Give yourself a So we believe that the world is a beautiful place, a sacred place, and each of us can make it more so by promoting peace, justice, and thoughtfulness. To that end, why don't you go ahead and take the next 58 seconds or so and say hello to the person to the left of you or the right of you or front of you, behind you. Just nicely done, everybody, nicely done. You know, we had like a barn in here, Aaron. Nothing compared to you guys. Good job. So this is a very special night for me because I'm really honored to be following in the footsteps of great people like Neil Diamond, Barry Manilow, Bette Midler, Irving Berlin, and Barbara Streisand, all very talented Jews in their own right, who had something very important to do with Christmas. Where's my mom's favorite song? Anyway, so I'll be singing a number of great Christmas classics tonight, which will be streaming all over the world. We'll also be selling the album online to raise. Is that not? That's not. I think maybe Jonathan set me up a little bit. Those "Where's Jonathan's" jokes that are over. I wonder if this is what Jesus. That was Easter. That's right. Okay. Anyway. So I see that a lot of you were here for the Christmas pageant. Raise your hand if you're here. Christmas pageant in the house. We had our fabulous RE volunteers, Karen and Richard Vlasic, Katie Ackerman, Katie Leonard, 7 angels. We had 6 angels. Oh yeah, 6. Well, 7. One of them was watching from him. And then we had like barnyard animals. We had and many more. It was great. It was amazing. It'll be on the internet at some point. Some of you came a little later to the potluck. The potluck, the food, the soup. It was all delicious. Congratulations. We're all warmed up, ready to sing. Ready to dance, maybe not so much dance, but ready to sing. So I want to talk to you about one quick thing, really quick, but very important. Over the last week or so, those of you who have been looking, maybe a couple of weeks, have noticed these little donation receptacles. One was by the Christmas tree, and we're collecting gifts for families that don't really have enough and can't really get anything for each other for Christmas. There's a pretty awesome charity called Family Promise, and they run this gifting program every year, and they need somebody to organize it in each place that runs them. And over in RE, I gotta tell you, we're like swamped and tired, and none of us would raise our hands to organize this thing. And we all felt kind of bad about it, but we still didn't. But do you guys know Eden Metzger? Anybody know her? She was one of the angels. I know you know her for sure, and Emily knows her.
She's right there.
She's 12. She's right here. She basically asked you the question, if not me, who? She organized the whole thing. I told her she couldn't take her halo off all day, otherwise she would have to tell how hard it was to organize everything. But really, thank you very much for making all of us feel better about everything and for helping a lot of families. She actually knows what each person asked for and got too, don't you? It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. So we're all going to have some fun today. I hope you're ready to sing. I hope you're ready to smile. I know you're all full. I saw Emily ate 3 dozen cookies already. So she's ready to go. She's got the mood. So the moment of magic. So now is the moment of magic, when the whole round earth turns around the sun. and here's a blessing. The days will be longer and brighter. Even before the winter settles in to chill us, now is the moment of magic, when people beaten down and broken with nothing left but misery and candles and their own voices kindle tiny lights and whisper secret music. And here's a blessing. The dark universe is suddenly illuminated by the lights of the menorah, suddenly ablaze with the lights of the kinara, and the whole world is glad and loud with winter singing. And now is the moment of magic, when an eastern star beckons the ignorant toward an unknown goal. And here's a blessing. They find nothing in the end but an ordinary baby. Born at midnight, born in poverty, and the baby's cry, like bells ringing, makes people wonder as they wander through their lives what human love might really look like, sound like, feel like. Now is the moment of magic, and here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. Ears to hear the music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tight in love.
Good evening and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I am delighted to introduce our special guest artist joining us tonight. Jasmine Stiefel is home for the holidays. She's back from school, North Carolina School of the Arts, where she is an acting major in her senior year. Like, when did that happen? Wow. And I know she's happy to be home in Hawaii, and we're certainly happy to have her here with us and share with us the gift of her beautiful voice. So she's going to be singing Grown Up Christmas List by Amy Grooms.
With childhood fantasy.
Wow. That's what Christmas is about. You know, even though Jonathan is not here, we honor him by playing Amy Grant. He's an Amy Grant fanboy. And I think maybe his favorite after Jasmine, who is all of our favorite because she's totally awesome. Thanks. Now, Owen, you ready, man? Come on up. You can do it, I know you can. So if you'd all join me, if you're willing and able, with the words as Owen lights the chalice. Nice. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit that touches the deep and understands life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. First, we outdo Amy Grant, and now we outdo Judy Garland. Thank you both for the gifts of your song. Absolutely fantastic way to start out the holidays. The original lyrics to that were significantly different than they are today. You heard "Let your heart be light." Next year, all our troubles will be out of sight. Well, originally, the lyrics were, "It may be your last. Next year, we may all be living in the past." It's interesting how things have changed. I think Christmas has also become a lot cheerier than maybe it was back then. I don't know. It was a little depressing back then, wasn't it? Something to think about as you take a moment to relax and open yourself to a little contemplation for our meditation. Tonight, everyone is displaced and homeless. Tonight, everyone searches for Bethlehem. On this night, when darkness comes so close, we listen in the stillness for the songs of angels. Like shepherds, we aren't too sure of what's happening. We don't know why we are so expectant. We don't know why we long so deeply for miracles. Tonight, we pray that we might know the one we are seeking. Tonight, may we kneel like kings before that which is greater than any kingdom on earth. Tonight, may we see the holy family that we are a part of. And may we hear the music that reminds us of our truest home.
Please rise in body and your spirit as you are willing and able for peace, salam, shalom. Now that you have seated, I'm going to ask you to please rise once again in body and your spirit as you are willing and able, for it came upon a midnight clear.
Angels standing near the earth.
amazing what you learn about Christmas when you're leading a service like that. Edmund Sears was a pastor in the Unitarian Church in Wayland, Massachusetts. And I have to admit, I never really paid much attention to the lyrics of this song. I was actually more concerned with playing dreidel. But the message is great, right? The message is about the simple song of salvation being, out there for the world to hear. And it resonates with me. Does it resonate for you guys? There's some believers out there. So, but I wonder, when have we ever been in the golden age? Haven't we always been waiting for the cycle to come around so peace can be on the earth? And maybe we should follow Eden's example and sort of decide to make our own part of the world our own piece of peace instead of waiting for salvation and the cycle of the wheel to come back around. Something pretty cool.
Please rise in body and of spirit as you are willing and able. For O come all ye faithful.
Aloha. This is something of a Christmas miracle. You are not seeing things. Some of you will recall just a few short months ago, I, a former Jew and devoted Unitarian Universalist for 14 years, presented the Yom Kippur service. And here it is Christmas, and believe it or not, I have a lesson to be learned from this season. Even when I was Jewish, I had a very complicated relationship with Christmas that lasted over the past 6.5 decades. At the beginning, as a child, it was what it was, and I accepted it as a child. I have come to realize that my mother was a complicated woman who practiced her own brand of rather cynical Judaism and who wholeheartedly embraced the consumer aspect of Christmas and Easter with open arms and open wallet. She loved shopping, and she loved any excuse for giving gifts. Her generosity was never in question, but those holidays we spent tearing into high piles of presents certainly had no tinge of Christianity and not a whiff of spirituality. It was a glut of empty wonderfulness. Santa and the Easter Bunny were the prominent figureheads. This is fine for small children, but her tradition lived on and on. I did try in my late 20s to get the spending and yearly accumulation under control by requesting no presents be given, only our family time as the reason for the season. But Christmas morning would arrive, and there it was, an olomana of presents, and I was the only one without something to give anyone. So I had to admit defeat in the face of my mother's love affairs with fine china and jewelry departments. Then I met and married Jim Cooper, who was raised as a disciple of Christ, and we welcomed the arrival of our 3 beautiful daughters. Now there were 2 overly generous families, and the Mauna of presents grew ever larger. So this is how the holidays went. Hanukkah was spent with my mom and dad in their kitchen lighting the menorah with small money gifts given for each of the 8 nights. At Christmas and Easter, Jim would gather the girls, take the appropriate children's storybook into one of the girls' bedrooms, shut the door, and he would tell them either the story of the birth of Christ or his divination. It was a little covert, and I was definitely uncomfortable with Jim's discomfort. Be that as it may, Christmas morning was a child's dream. Our girls opened so many presents they became weary. Scroll up a few years, Jim and I, in 1991, joined the Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North Church, also called UMAN, in Roswell, Georgia, as we recognized the need to have a religious education for the girls and a spiritual community. We came for the children, and we stayed as we discovered how important it was to ever increase our spiritual vocabulary, figure out the important questions of life, and be a part of a caring community. And our holidays were still a retailer's fantasy. One Sunday in the late 1990s, the DRE of UMAN asked me, really rather offhandedly, if I was going to attend a workshop that she was giving that very afternoon. I don't even know what possessed me to say yes, but I said I would attend the How to Unplug the Christmas Machine workshop. That afternoon was an eye-opener for me as we went through the workbook, answering questions that went to the emotional and religious heart of the holiday. What were and are the important aspects of the holiday that especially speak to you? We were invited to remember what it felt like to sit in church on Christmas Eve, celebrating the miracles of that day. It was then that I realized I had nothing but Santa Claus. Having been raised Jewish at the hands of a determined shopper, I had no Son of God, only a cute straw-covered baby named Jesus. No virgin birth, only skepticism. I had no herald angels, only Perry Como and Andy Williams on television holiday specials. I had no Star of Bethlehem. There was no awe in a celestial road sign, only delight at neighborhood holiday lighting displays. I had Christmas carols, but they were just songs that I knew the words of the first verses to. I also had the Beatles, but I knew all those words. And don't get me started on the gifts of the 3 Magi versus my Waterford crystal lamp. And so much to this dismay of our tween and teenage girls, I not only unplugged the Christmas machine, I threw it on the ground and smashed it into a million pieces. Having finally examined the non-existent spirit of Christmas past, and being entrenched in an empty spirit of Christmas present, my spirit of Christmas future was shaky indeed. I vowed to find another Christmas machine, tinker with it until it had some meaning for me, so that I could feel some soul satisfaction for this festive, complicated season, and I could embrace the holidays and have genuine enthusiasm with my family. So over the years, I have been working on finding the reason for the season, if I can quote a bumper sticker. Now the vocabulary of the holidays still includes words like presence and generosity, but it also includes joy, appreciation of the small miracles of life, the promise of the future, the continual search for wisdom, spirit, tradition, and connection with family and community. and of course, love. I clearly, and now with a lot more comfort, recognize the holiness of the season for Christians around the world. I do believe in miracles, even if they are primarily wonders of the human soul and of nature. I take the time to marvel at the kindnesses that people are capable of. And so I, a former Jew and devoted UU, invite you all to sift through your memories and rediscover the emotions that this season will evoke for you. With all its consumer pressures and religious overtones, think about what you truly would like this season to mean for yourself and your family. And I encourage you to reboot that complex, wonderful, blessed Christmas machine for merry and bright Yuletide futures. May it be so.
Please rise in body and our spirit as you are willing and able. For angels we have heard on high.
How's it going, man? That was some awesome singing. Hey, school. The Gillis Davises. Here we go. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, this is them, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened," which the angels had told us about. So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. And when they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told. It's really. Now, I'm pretty sure, aside from treasuring these guys up, I'm sure that the treasuring up in Luke means that she held herself back. Like these shepherds came in, they were ecstatic, they were screaming out everywhere, and she treasured herself up. She was more subdued of a response in her second. And it makes sense. I mean, she had a baby to feed, quite possibly the newborn king of the universe. Guys, you want to help me? So, what do you do for Christmas? What are the biggest things that you do? You give presents? It's awesome. Awesome. Lisa, you're amazing. So it's Christmas. What better time to get your giving on than right now, right here? Yes, you've probably been hit from everybody else 6 ways to Sundays, but here you are. You're home away from home. It's really easy for us to hold on to the money that we earn. So let's try to realize that together, as a community, we have the ability to do our jobs and to earn the money that we do. Let's each of us try to be open-handed in our giving and show our thanks to ourselves and to each other. Now, a little aside here before they bring the bowl around. We're going to listen to White Christmas. When Irving Berlin wrote White Christmas, he was in La Quinta, in Hollywood, California. And he missed the northern weather, or he missed the winter. So once it came to him, he suspected right away, he suspected this song was possibly going to be the best song he'd ever written in his life. It's a gift that he gave us, and it became the best-selling song of all time. So now, if you don't give your gifts, you don't know what they'll come into. I'm not saying you're going to give us the best song of all time, but you never know until you give a gift.
Night is falling. Stars beckon in an indigo and velvet sky. Somewhere, a baby is being born. Tonight, the world blazes in the love of goodness, while glories stream from heaven afar. God is meeting us tonight where we are. So be not afraid and be of good cheer. We wish you, each and all, very Merry Christmas. The hopes and fears of all the years have been met, so rest beside the winding road and hear the angels sing. As we say the closing words together, O Mama, blessed be, Amen, Salam,
Please rise and, whoa, cut my body and their spirit here, really. For Silent Night, we're actually singing the second verse in German. Do it.
Extinguishing chalice is Russell from Mothers. Universal mystery, guide us away from the desire to shine light